Hey, this is Nicholas with the Backyard TARDIS here with another Random Thoughts podcast, this time talking about the Nintendo Direct from February 22. This one was one where I kind of go into a bit about what I think makes a good Direct and the formula for a good Direct. But once again, another one of these intro videos. Yes, I recorded this and you're seeing it about a month later. Life just happened. And so know that this was recorded a couple of days after the Direct. While it was all fresh in mind, obviously information has come out about these games. Some of these games have even released. So take into account that this is a little bit dated, but I felt like a lot of it was a genuine reaction. I think my discussion about what makes a good Direct still holds. So I wanted to share. All right. Enjoy the podcast. Hey, it's Nicholas with the Backyard TARDIS here with another Random Thoughts podcast. This time I'm going to be talking about the Nintendo Direct that just came out. And if you're watching this in the future, we're talking about February of 2022. We had a Nintendo Direct. And not only did I want to talk about the games in this, I kind of wanted to talk about what makes a good Nintendo Direct and what makes a bad Nintendo Direct. I've seen very mixed opinions on this Nintendo Direct. Some saying it's one of the best Nintendo Directs ever. Some saying that it's not. And so I'm basically going to break down what I think is the key to having kind of the universally liked Nintendo Direct. So even if you don't like the games, this is what you got to do to make it kind of universally liked. So it's basically kind of, you have three main points of the Direct that you have to really wow. So you have, right as you open, that first section usually is your CGI trailer. You know, it's something that's very flashy visual, but doesn't actually represent gameplay. Now, for a while there, this was a great place to put a Smash character. And in my opinion, I think that they should continue making Smash characters, even if Sakurai needs to take it off. I understand why they've stopped, why they're respecting him. He's, kind of a little bit of a control freak when it comes to the game. It's his baby, and his health concern, he's got to stop at some point. But if not with that, then they need to find another game that they can do that with. There's one in this Direct that I think has the potential for that. Actually, two that has that, and that is, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but you got Mario Strikers, you've got Mario Kart is getting more DLC. We'll talk about that later, but I think that those are rooms like, how cool would it be if it started with a CG trailer of Mario Strikers and then all of a sudden, like, Sonic popped into the field. Like, that would blow. Even people who are not Sonic fans, they understand the rivalry there. I think that would be a big thing. Or Mega Man, or, anything like that. If they could start getting DLC characters in that game like that, it would be big. The same with Mario Kart, You see Mario Kart and all of a sudden Kirby comes in on a star. That would blow a lot of people's mind if that was a little CGI trailer, kind of like we had with the Smash ones. Then you go to the point where you have kind of some updates on some anticipated games, maybe some indie games, just kind of a little bit of, or a lot of times what will follow that is some quality games that are kind of lesser. And these are maybe Nintendo properties, so they need to get showcased, but they're not big Nintendo properties. They kind of go in there, and then you get to the middle. That's your meat. This is usually a game that is about to come out, or it is some new piece of hardware. We saw it with the Mario movie, and usually this is like, there's two things they discuss that are the meat section of the Direct. So you have that initial flash, and then like some quality stuff that's not for everybody, but everybody's talking about that initial flash. So it doesn't matter if not all those games hit for you. Just knowing that, oh yeah, that's a game I know some people want. That's a game I know some people want. And they're talking like those are solid entries. And then you get to the meat. Those are the one or two things in the middle that either need to be a deep dive into a game that's about to come out, or you see something new like the online experience, something that they kind of delve deeper in, go maybe in a little more detail than some people want, but that's where you put that in the middle. And then after that, you showcase some more indie games, and then have the sizzle reel of all the third-party games that are just like boom, 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 boom. All these games, that kind of goes after that. And then you have the ending, which is typically a big look at a game and then maybe another teaser trailer or announcement that's shocking. So that's how you go out on a high note. You know, that's like when they write Metroid Prime 4 and it's just the logo, or Breath of the sequel to the Breath of the Wild, and it's just that with a little trailer. That's your ending, but usually right before that, you put a really anticipated game that's finally getting its look. So, an example, we're going to go through this direct. We start out, Fire Emblem Warriors, Three Hopes. Okay, first off, I didn't realize that this was another one of those Fire Emblem Dynasty Warrior games. It was just CG trailer. I didn't realize that was what it was, because I'm not into those games or into Fire Emblem. I think if it was announcing like new DLC for Fire Emblem or something that was like showcasing a really good character or something, maybe. But Fire Emblem definitely has their core. But I feel like this is a side game, so it's a niche franchise. And then you're taking a niche game that's only liked by a small percentage of people that like that franchise. And that's supposed to be the big flash at the front. I noticed a lot of other reactors, they just kind of were like, what is this? So I feel like while this was a good trailer, I feel like it should have been in the direct. I do feel like this was a weak start to the direct. Now, right after that, you have the Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. This is a game that I feel like this is perfectly placed. This is a title that needs to get showcased early. It needs to be a powerful point. It needs to get some time showing off because it's a Nintendo property. It's definitely a property that deserves love, but it's not everybody's cup of tea. It's niche. This is where this belongs. I feel like there should have been something else, and then that Fire Emblem Warriors trailer could have been in this area of the direct. Then we go to No Man's Sky. This was a cool announcement. It's great that this is coming to Switch. I am going to check it out on the Switch. My biggest fear, and what they didn't talk about, is how much internet required. How much is it internet streamed based? Because there's no doubt that footage they showed, if that's running on a Switch, that footage, that's cloud-based. Which pretty much means it will not work for me. That's a bummer. But it was still, in the moment, it was a hype thing, like, whoa, No Man's Sky is coming out on Switch. That's big. It is cool to see some of these AAA games, even some of them that are older, that like people think of the Switch as a non-powerful machine because they're comparing it to the PS5 or even the PS4 and stuff. But we look at like it's more powerful than the Wii U, which was more powerful slightly than the PS3, which at the time was blowing people's minds. And games that people think like there's no possible way they could fit that on a Nintendo system. Those are PS3 games. It can totally be run on. Like No Man's Sky was like kind of one of those generational games that was like right at the beginning of the PS4. Like, this is amazing. There are some PS4 games that have been making it onto the Switch. Of course, they're downgrading it, but it's just amazing to see that they can do that and they can do it portable. Because I think if Sony had a portable machine, like that would be what you'd want, like a downgraded of all the PlayStation 4 exclusives, but that you could play on the go. And maybe they didn't look as good as the console. You'd want a reason why you were spending the money for the console at home, but this would be for the portable experience. And I think the Nintendo Switch buys it. Nobody is buying No Man's Skies on Switch so they can sit at home and play it on their TV. They would be doing that on their computer or their PS5 or whatever for, no, you're getting No Man's Sky on Switch because you want to play it on the go. That's what it's there for. Next, we get really cool announcement that I think either they're not ready to, or because I almost feel like this could have been a middle section game, but Mario Strikers Battle League. And Mario Strikers, out of all the Mario sports games, it is my favorite. And it's one that I've been really wanting them to come back. It was like they did the one and done on the GameCube. I think there was a handheld version at one point. But Mario Strikers was really, to me, a super fun Mario sports game. And I just wanted to get back to it. And it really looks like they're cranking it up. They're putting a lot of content into it. I'm really hoping that it is not, because it's being done by a different studio, I'm hoping it's not like what we've seen from Mario sports games as of late. We saw tennis, we saw golf, and what those were released as were basically bare bone games that then slowly were upgraded with more courses, more content. And I think some of that was due to COVID. I really wish they'd been more upfront about that. If they had told people, hey, it's like a season pass, you get the game and we're gonna map it out, instead of like holding the game back for a year because of COVID. We're gonna give you the game now, and you're gonna, every 3 months or so, you're gonna log in and there's gonna be more content, a reason to go back and game. But don't go hard on the game and play the game from beginning to end and put it away and expect not to get it back up. This is going to be little by little. Games as a service, so to speak. But they didn't. They just kind of put it out there, and everyone was like, the last entry in this game had like 20 times more the content. What is this, Nintendo? And you're charging us full price. This is junk, and everybody was messed up about it. I really hope Mario Strikers doesn't do that, or that if they do, they're very clear with their messaging and people can expect it, and people don't immediately, because a big thing, and I really hope the online support is good in quality for this, because it's going to, even though I don't play online for this, I'd be more about playing the campaign mode or the local multiplayer. If it doesn't have good online support, it won't get support online, which means it won't continue to have support. And I want this game to have support. I think this could be a tentpole franchise. Next, Splatoon 3. Another great game that is, like, for some people, super hyped. And I really was critical of the last Direct of the fact that they put that right after the Mario movie casting news, and nobody was talking about it because it was horribly placed in the Direct. This is a perfect spot in the Direct. We're showing the Salmon Run Next Wave, the co-op mode, and it looked interesting. It looked unique, the bad guys in this, so it piqued my interest. Then we saw Disney Speedstorm, another Mario Kart clone. It's funny because it feels like in the N64, like shortly after that, like the Dreamcast, PlayStation 2, there were a lot of PS1 and PS2 era, there was a lot of Mario Kart clones. And you saw Sonic doing kart racers, you saw Crash Bandicoot doing kart racers, you saw Disney having theirs, and the Wacky Racers, and SpongeBob Racing, and all these like things. And then it kind of went away. And Mario Kart was big on the Wii, but it was like there wasn't a whole lot of competing kart racers. And then come around to it, and all of a sudden, like, we're seeing like Crash Team Racing re-released. We got Sonic Team Racing. We've got all of these kart racers, really big. All at the same time, we're having all these Smash clones. So it feels like a lot of these other companies that have lots of properties that aren't gaming properties, but are like multimedia properties. So we see, I would not be surprised if we get like a Nickelodeon racer and a Warner Brothers racer, and all of these different things. Because let's have Batman and Scooby-Doo racing each other. It's gonna be a thing. Here's the thing though, it's free to play, so this is microtransaction heavy. Killed all interest I had in it right there. Then we saw Star Wars The Force Unleashed. Really excited for this. And a lot of people were like, oh, which version is it? I'm sorry, I've only played the Wii version. I enjoyed the Wii version. The waggle stuff was a bit tiresome at times. But one of the things that's nice about the Switch is they enable that stuff, but they also usually give you a regular play option. So, and I imagine that they'll do some graphical upgrades. So to me, I think that this is going to maybe not be as impressive as the PS3, Xbox 360 version, but I do think that it's going to be polished better than the original Wii version, and I think you'll be able to have standard controls. And it's going to be portable. That's what's going to be great about this. It'll be a great way to revisit this. If you're a little nostalgia, like you want to feel like you're a Jedi and you want to swing around the way, you can do that. And then you can pop it back on and you can go back to your controller and say, my arms are tired now. I want to just play the game. To me, that's what I'm looking forward to with that. Now, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Yes! Yes, I so want to play this thing. And they introduced Big Mouth mode. And like, I saw some people are like, no, that's wrong. He swallows a car. But Big Mouth mode isn't like, normally he swallows an item, completely absorbs it. And one of the things about Kirby is inside Kirby is like an alternate dimension. So all that stuff goes in there and he is able to go in and study and learn their abilities and copy it. And then he can shoot them back out as a star. Well, this is where he's not fully digesting it. He's just putting his mouth around it and then gaining the abilities. Like a car, he can drive around. They showed a vending machine and he's shooting out the sodas. He was a cone and he was using that to sting. So all these different things, even drinking a whole bunch of water and then spitting it out, all Mario Sunshine style. This game is just so beautiful, and this is something I've wanted. The two things I've really wanted is I want them to do a modern 3D Donkey Kong and a modern 3D Kirby. And a lot of people didn't think Kirby would work in 3D because of the way he floats and that. He's great. And I look at a game like Kanoa and I'd say, hey, look, this is evidence. It can be done. This game looks amazing. And I can't wait. I'm going to probably like this game more than Mario Odyssey. This is a bigger game for me than Mario Odyssey. I'm not a huge Mario fan. He's the mascot. I have respect for him. It's kind of like Mickey. I'm not a huge Mickey Mouse fan, but he's the mascot and I get it. And Mickey on stuff yeah, that's cool. But there are other Disney characters that I'm much more interested in than Mickey. The same with Mario. Kirby, as a franchise, the whimsiness of Kirby has always, and I've always loved the gameplay style. I was somebody who loved platformers, but was not great at them. And Kirby was a great way to introduce. I was banging my head trying to do, on my Genesis, I'm trying to get across with Sonic. And then I had my Game Boy and I'm trying to play Donkey Kong. And then I got Kirby. And Kirby really helped me learn the controls. And so I really hope that this is something like that where it's not ludicrously difficult. That is something for maybe younger players to get it, that my 5-year-old daughter, I want to set her loose on this. I put her in Mario Odyssey. Now the game is very forgiving, but she just falls off cliffs left and right. But she's getting better. She's slowly getting better. I think if I gave her this, she's going to master this game. That's my prediction. She's going to love this game. Next one, Mlb the Show. Now, a lot of people brushed over this. I really wish they would have made a bigger deal out of this, and not just put it in text, but actually vocally said it. This is a game being made by Sony on a Nintendo system. That's right. This is a Sony-produced first-party title being put on a Nintendo system. That's groundbreaking. I possibly will buy this. I'm probably never going to play it, but I possibly will buy this because I want to send the message to Sony that this is a good idea. What do I want? Well, I want like the Ratchet and Clank collection. That's like all the PS. Like I want those games, those PS2, PS3 Ratchet and Clank games. I want them ported to the Switch as a way for Sony to gain new fans to promote them to buy the PS5 game and get a PS5. Like I think that is something, and I see the fact that Sony is doing some of this stuff. They're now partnered with Bungie, and they're going to be making Bungie games on Xbox. They're going to be Sony-owned properties that are going to be on Xbox. They're following Microsoft's play here because Microsoft has been doing that. Microsoft has released a ton of games on the Switch. They've released a number of games on PlayStation, and not just games that they were contracted to. There are games that they ported over after they took over. Like, they didn't have to put Minecraft on Switch. Switch is a system that came out well after they owned Minecraft. And there was no contract to put it on the Switch, but they did it. Why? Because there was an audience there with Nintendo fans. They wanted to get that. And they felt like that was a universal game. It didn't make sense to be that. Now, a lot of people are a little burned at Microsoft right now because they're putting Bethesda games as exclusive. Well, I think a lot of that has to do with, like, those are kind of core single-player experiences. And I do think core single-player experiences are better suited as console exclusives. They leave a more lasting impact. They can be more brand recognition. But when it comes to multiplayer online games, games as a service, so to speak, you want the largest family. And here's the thing. They put that on a Sony system or a Nintendo system. And then if you get Game Pass and you get all these different games as a service subscriptions to Microsoft, that unlocks content for you on the system that isn't Microsoft's. And Microsoft has stated that they want to put Xbox Live, Xbox Game Pass, they want to put that on Nintendo. Nintendo's the one holding that up. They want to put that on Sony. Sony's the one holding that up. So, because they don't want a rival store on their store. They want, anytime you spend money on your PlayStation or on your Switch, it to be going to Nintendo. There's not another store to another vendor. But Microsoft is really hoping that that's like their next stage. And I think they will get away from having their own box. They want to just be Game Pass. And maybe they'll have a box that'll be their kind of their de facto so it's available. But I think they really don't care about their console sales as long as they can have people subscribing into that. And I think that if Sony's starting to follow route on that, and Nintendo might be the slowest, but we're looking at the next generation. We've got Amazon and Google really going hard. Apple with their Play Arcade is going into the, like, these other companies are going into the gaming business. Tencent is still trying to buy up all the major developers. They tried to do a hostile takeover of Ubisoft. I really think that a lot of these big game purchases that we're seeing, like we just saw Microsoft buy Activision. Whoa. I think a lot of that is they are trying to protect themselves from companies like Tencent, companies like Amazon, buying these companies and taking them out of the traditional console gaming infrastructure, out of that ecosystem. And yes, Sony is Microsoft's biggest competitor when it comes to gaming. But that's their biggest competitor now. That's a competitor that keeps the industry healthy. That's a competitor that plays ball with them, plays on their level. Google doing their streaming game service, offering tons of games for free. All you do is buy a controller and it's streamed and all this kind of stuff. That's playing in Amazon Luna, like these Stadia, that's the name. These companies are playing by completely different rules. Google and Apple, the way their marketplace like work on their phones, like that, they're now making 10 times more than the home console business. They've taken this industry, as the industry we see it expand every year. It's all microtransactions on cell phones. The last thing they want to see is somebody like Activision bought by one of those companies, and it's just all microtransaction phone games of Crash Bandicoot and Call of Duty. And so I feel like these studios are doing it not necessarily to compete with each other, but to hold on to the industry. And if Sony fails, Microsoft fails, because they are a chief building block of the video game market. And the same for Nintendo. Nintendo is critical to the video game market. Microsoft realized that. The moment Nintendo fails and has to go to like the mobile, like they go third party and they become the mobile game maker, whatever, and they got Amazon and stuff having Mario games on it, like that would be a critical blow to somebody like Microsoft or Sony. And I think they're getting to a point where these three big companies are realizing that they're about to experience what Nintendo experienced when Sony and Sega, when Nintendo and Sega were duking it out, and then Sony suddenly stepped onto the scene, like it completely disrupted it. It was this big mega corporation, and then Microsoft came in, and like Nintendo has survived both of those. But I think because of that, these two companies realize Nintendo is a valuable part, and if they lose that part, a big section of the home console market is just going to disappear. And I've rambled way too much about MLB the Show being on Switch, but it's a big thing. Now, the Klonoa remasters being on Switch, that's amazing. These were great GameCube games. I would love to see more GameCube games get remastered. To me, that the GameCube was an amazing system. And graphically, it's not much different than the Wii. And so as we're seeing some Wii games come over, and we're seeing a lot of Wii U games come over, I feel like the GameCube is a wonderful system with games that didn't get the proper sales that they deserve because of the system. The system, of course, did better than the Wii U, but it still was rather lackluster in sales. And I feel like there's a lot of games on that system that if they were just graphically upgraded a little bit, frame rate up a little bit, and just re-released, that they could be huge hits on the Switch. Especially because now you're playing it portable. And the Switch can run these games with ease. So seeing this come out, really great. Definitely going to get it. Next, another one of those where it's like at first you're like, whoa, they can fit that on the Switch. Then you realize this is a PS3 game, is the Portal Companion Collection. Portal is a really cool puzzle game. Definitely something that I'm going to be getting on my Switch. Now, here's my thing, is that I talked about the middle needs to be kind of the one or two games that we had. The Kirby, the Forgotten Land. That was kind of the one. And then we had these peppering of these other games that I think I would have put those before Kirby. And then done, and I would have gone straight from Kirby to Nintendo Switch Sports. And Nintendo Switch Sports, to me, is the other great game here. Because Nintendo Switch Sports is just an amazing title. I don't know why they didn't go with the Mii outfits. I wish they would have kept that. I know they probably felt they needed to update it, but when we got away from the Wii U, we kind of lost the Mii games. You know, the Wii Sports, Wii Play, all that, because we got rid of the Wii moniker. And I really always thought that they should have kept them coming and called them Mii, the M-I-I. The little Mii's, and because there was a charm to that. That was the reason why so many Wii's were sold, was because of this game. And so to see that it's coming out, to see that it's actually being monikered as a games as a service with other things, they're testing online play ahead of time. Okay, Kirby is my most hyped, but this is probably my second most hyped thing. And it's a silly thing because we're at a point now where we can feel nostalgic about this game. It's been given a rest. Most of this lifespan of this console, we didn't get to see this game. But now here we have it, and it's doing good. I was a little... The archery wasn't... there were some sports in here that were missing. That I was like, hey, why don't we have punching? Why don't we have archery? But it could always be added later. So I think that this is a big thing, even though for a lot of gamers, it may not be a thing. It was something that needed to be showcased. Now we kind of go into those more scissor reel stuff. We got the Cuphead DLC. We met the Metroid Dread free update. First they described the hard mode and everyone's like, whoa, I can hardly handle it now. And then they go, oh, well, we also have easy mode. That's cool. I'm going to wait. Easy mode comes out. That's when I'm going to be playing Metroid Dread finally. Now, we get that we're getting for our Nintendo Online Service little announcement. This is a good spot for it. We get Earthbound, and then Earthbound Beginnings, and everyone thought Mother 3 was coming next to Switch Online, and it didn't. I am really hoping that comes soon. Not because I'm a super huge Earthbound, because I think that is a big win. That is one of those games that, say you're not a Shenmue fan. When Sony had that press conference and they announced Shenmue 3 or the Final Fantasy VII remake, those were games that you knew such a rabid fan base were just actively, constantly saying, make this game. Everybody's saying release Mother 3. They've been saying that for decades. If they did that, even though 90% of us may not even care about the Earthbound Mother series, we would be cheering with them. It would be like, oh, that is a big thing. Nintendo listened to the fans. So that's something we want to see. Something I think that really should be done. We see the impact that Pokemon is making right now. They're finally upgrading things, finally going open world. An open world 3D Earthbound game, I think it would do really good. I look at everybody who looked at the DokeV trailer and they're like, wait, is this Earthbound? I think if they did that kind of art style, it would be huge. So to see that they're showing some interest in this franchise is promising. But I feel like Earthbound 3 translated into English is not that hard of an accomplishment. And I know there's some things that would be problematic. And how do you change it? And will that upset the fan? It's not that difficult of a thing to do. They're not making a whole new game. They're translating it. And it's a game that it's been so many years, they've had to have tried on it. I really feel like translating it and updating that is something that could have been done during COVID. And it's something that could have been a huge win for them right here. So it's just a little salt. Then we see Lego Brawls, a Lego Smash clone. Color me intrigued. This looked really fun. I wish we'd see more. I wish we'd know if this was microtransaction based. But Sega fans, I gotta mention 2 Point Campus. Just slides right in there and slides right out. Just a quick thing. That's a good point here. And now we get to the 1-2 punch at the end. So like I said, we have to have the flash at the beginning. Right around the middle, we need the 1-2 punch of some big meaty games. And then at the end, we need the super showstopper games. So the middle ones are not usually as flashy. They were expected, but they're good content that people are enjoying. The beginning is super flash, not a lot of substance, and the 1-2 punch at the end needs to be something with a lot of substance and something that is just promising. Either a game title of a future game that's just complete vaporware at the moment, or a CGI trailer. So you kind of cliff end it, beginning with that, ending with that, but right before that, you gotta have something of meat. And I feel like they did here Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC. This was amazing. And this really gave a smart decision for the Nintendo Switch Family Pass that, Game Pass, their Nintendo's online service plus, whatever it's called. Because before it was Animal Crossing DLC. Now, why was it Animal Crossing DLC that came with it? Why was that? Because Animal Crossing is in the top 3 selling games on Switch. And it did all that recently during the pandemic. And I don't think Nintendo was expecting that. they weren't prepared to add enough content fast enough. They didn't expect this to be a phenomenon. They expect that from Pokemon. They don't expect that from Animal Crossing. This is blowing all the previous Animal Crossing sell numbers out of the water. And likely so because of just the world conditions. I don't think if we weren't in COVID lockdown that it would have been that big. But I think it started catching on. It's a chill game that a lot of non-gamers can play, and it just grew. However, the number one selling game on Switch is Mario Kart. And how do you justify going back to it and adding more DLC? Now, so a lot of people were let down because there were leaks of the next Mario Kart game. And I 100% believe that that game is in development. However, I think it's either coming on whatever the Switch's successor is. I don't really, or it's going to come out at the time of the Switch successor is on the horizon, and it's going to be a cross-gen system, kind of like Mario Kart 8, that'll launch on the Switch and then migrate over to Switch Pro or whatever it is. But at this point, it could come out next year after all this DLC ends. Like, you get all of this DLC, you didn't spend money on it, it came free, and then, oh, hey, here's a whole new $60 game that you've been enjoying this. But they're getting the last milking out of this. They're basically not expecting a whole lot of people to buy this. They're expecting most people to just feel like the money they spent on the expansion pass is worth it, because they're getting almost an entirely new game worth of level tracks. And people are like, oh, that's just some track. When you look at how many tracks are in the game, this is like 2/3 of the tracks that are in the current game, the number that they're adding. I think it's like 48 or something like that. And they're going to be at over 100 tracks when all is said. It's crazy how much is here. The one thing I feel like would have been better is if they also announced new drivers. Now, I honestly am of the opinion that while they have this new game coming out that's in the works, that's going to be more of like the Smash Brothers and Mario Kart, and maybe it'll be good that is a different thing from Mario Kart. Mario Kart can kind of sleep for a while, that can come out, and then maybe we'll have another true Mario Kart built for the Switch Pro, specifically with better graphics and stuff. But I actually think that they could just take Mario Kart 8, make it games as a service, and put other Nintendo characters. Let's put Captain Falcon in there. Let's put Kirby on a star. Let's get Banjo-Kazooie. Like, if they came out in that thing and they added, oh, and there's going to be these 5 additional racers. And there was some Nintendo stuff. There was the Kirby of that. But they had like Banjo-Kazooie in there. King K. Rool. If they had characters like that, like it would be bigger. Now, we could always say it could be bigger, but to me, this was a really good move. And it's unfortunate that gamers were expecting more and didn't feel like this hit. That's the problem with everybody taking all these leaks is 100% true. And then when it doesn't happen, they're like, oh, Nintendo dropped the ball. If none of those leaks had happened and all of a sudden you were like, boom, if you paid for this pass, you're getting 48 additional tracks, you would be ecstatic. So I felt that this was actually a really strong closer. Now, the final CGI trailer, big thing, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Now, I'm not a Xenoblade Chronicles fan, so this did nothing for me. I almost feel like these could have been switched. I feel like Xenoblades is a really good game for in the middle. For like that middle, like we're really being meaty with some of the games. So you have your initial flash, you have some sizzle stuff, then you have a couple meaty things, then you have more sizzle stuff, and then you have this 1-2 punch at the end. And I just feel like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 would have been a better opening flash trailer, in my opinion. It would have fit well there, because I know there's fans that wanted this. Now, the other problem is, this is not the game the fans in the series really want. I know it's like Xenoblade X or Cross or something. There's another game that's stuck on the Wii U that people really want ported over. And I know it was really online focus heavy, and the Nintendo Switch, like, there's just reasons why they don't want to port it, but it's something that this huge, and just like Fire Emblem that has kind of blown up, Xenoblade is a game that everybody had to petition to get onto the Wii. It was a franchise that was Japanese exclusive, and it has since blown up. Of course, it got a character in Smash, and that even blew it up bigger. And now it's one of the bigger franchises. But unlike the rest of Nintendo, this is kind of, it doesn't feel very Nintendo. This is kind of Nintendo hands-off, kind of like Pokemon. Like, this is a company that is getting to do what they want to do, their kind of style of things. And there's some muddiness with the history of the game that Nintendo doesn't own all the rights to the past entries in this series, because it's been by a company that has been owned by multiple other companies before Nintendo partnered with them. So it's just one of those things that, because it wasn't what everybody was expecting. Now, there were a bunch of games I didn't mention in this that were huge JRPGs, mentioning stuff in this. And I think you combine that with like Fire Emblem references and like Xenoblade. Like, this was the RPG fans' big. I mean, like, I saw people go nuts about Alive. Obviously, if you're an RPG fan, especially a JRPG fan, this was like grade A direct for you. But how does it do overall? I'm gonna give it a B. I think for me, if I'm grading on the stuff I love, this is A+. I got stuff like the Kirby, Splatoon 3. I got stuff like Klonoa. I got a really good Metroid Dread announcement. The Mario Kart stuff. Those were big things. I got stuff Portal. I got things that I was interested in, like Lego Brawl and No Man's Sky. I'm curious about that. Advance Wars is something that should... it's starting to pique my interest, but I'm already buried in games I probably won't end up getting. It's one of those games that I'll always say, I probably should give that a try, and I may never do it, but I enjoy seeing it in the presentation. Nintendo Switch Sports. I am hyped for this because I don't want to pull my Wii out to play Wii Sports. I want to play it with my daughter. I want to be able to do it on my Switch. So I feel like, and then you got the Force Unleashed. There were just Mario Strikers. It was huge. So many huge announcements. However, I do feel like the layout that it just wasn't done best. It was not laid out the best. And I feel like they need to get better about making sure that last one, if they had shown a shot of Metroid, a trailer for Metroid, if they'd shown a trailer for Breath of the Wild 2, even, just any kind of thing like that, I think would have had a bigger ending splash than Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And I think that would have been a good initial splash. It would be like, oh, Xenoblade Chronicles are getting this. Whereas they put the Fire Emblem Dynasty Warriors game, which is cool, but is not, even among Fire Emblem fans, like, that's not super hyped. And so it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, like, people don't even get hyped about it when it's a Zelda one. So they really, that should have been somewhere in kind of the sizzle reel areas. So I really feel like that's what it was lacking. It had a great middle section. It had a great look at the other games. But I really feel like the beginning and the end is what let us down. And so I'm looking forward to what they're coming through. And so that, I say B for presentation. But as far as what's in this, A+. So with that, what did you all think of the Nintendo Direct? What are your thoughts on these companies buying up other companies? That's a big issue that's going on right now. I am not as nihilistic as most people are about it. And as far as like console exclusive, I grew up a Sega fan. Like the console wars was a thing, and I thought it was good for the industry. So there needs to be a reason why you pick this system over that system. And if you're worried about not being able to have all the good things without owning all the systems, that's been the case since the beginning. Sony has killer exclusives. Microsoft has its killer exclusives, and Nintendo has an abundance of killer exclusives. So to see that they're playing a little bit better with each other, that's cool. That they're kind of uniting a little bit against the other big corporations. I do appreciate that. But at the same time, I think they all need to have an exclusive and give us a reason to own their system. And not everybody gets to own them all. That's why we go on YouTube and see what the other people are playing. That's why you go over to your friend's house and play on their PlayStation, and they come over to your house and play on your Nintendo. So with that, I'm going to quit rambling and get on, and I'll see you in the next video.